As Americans, we seem to think everything has to be all at once and we want the quick fix for everything. And in reality, to be healthier, there is no quick fix.
There's so much instant gratification that we want, especially when it comes to what we eat.
You need to be up at least 2 hours before you lay down, and don't lay flat when you go to bed. You need to stay mostly sitting up.
Over time, you realize when you are exercising and you're doing so much more things with your body that your body tends to ask for certain things.
A lot of people don't realize how they feel after they eat. Or what foods they're eating make them feel sick. And they don't understand why they're always feeling sick or this or that. And they need to know what makes their body function.
We think that, oh, we just eat 3 times a day, then that's just enough.
You could drop dead tomorrow from something that nobody can see because you're treating your insides worse than you're treating your outsides.
Welcome everybody to the Rally Cry podcast. I am Angel, your host, and you guys are here because you want to learn, you want to grow, and you understand what it takes for you to be a better person every day. And honestly, I'm so glad that you guys are here. Your presence, your energy, your attention, all the support that you've been giving me on social media, or even if you see me on person, you guys say hi, and how much inspiration that it comes from listening to the podcast. So I'm so excited. And today we have a guest, and I'm so honored to have these guests, and especially the one that we have today. And of course, every time I get a chance, I say it all the time, I always like to make a proper introduction. So here, I'm going to introduce our guest. She is a personal chef and has a huge passion for wellness and eating healthy. She has tips, tricks, and recipes for expertise that she shares with the community to make an impact. She is a host on E360 TV, and today we are going to dive into the food healing journey. Thank you, Ashely Tresoline. Did I say that right, Tresoline?
It's actually Tresoline.
Tresoline, Ashely Tresoline. Thank you for being here.
That's okay.
I'm so excited for how are you feeling today?
I am doing good. I'm happy it's Friday.
Right?
And I am also happy that, it's still summer and we get to enjoy this beautiful weather as much as we can. So
Yes.
I'm just happy to be here with you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and so I want to definitely break the ice with our conversation with our communication card game. I know that you played it before at the YPS event, and that was definitely an experience. I'm glad you was there to experience it firsthand because that was my first time having a event and using the card game for that, and it was so awesome.
We had some questions though that we're sitting there trying to figure out an appropriate answer for a business setting.
Right.
So we're all sitting there going, I don't think we can answer this one. We need to skip it or keep going. Or people gave some of the craziest answers I've ever heard. So it does definitely break the ice.
Yeah, and that's kind of the aspect of it. There's going to be some questions where we might have to be a little bit vulnerable, a little bit honest. And, that's okay if someone doesn't want to be honest. And in that moment, you can be like, enough said. You don't want to be honest right now. Okay, I get it now. You get to see someone right then and there that they don't want to be honest. And whatever that reason is, enough said. You don't even have to explain. So today we're gonna pick ones. I'll since we're doing this virtually, I'll just pick one myself, and then we'll start our conversation. So let's see what we got. I'll pick.
Wait, do you have to answer too?
I will answer. Trust me.
Okay.
Of course I will. I'll play fair. I play fair. She was like, you better make sure that you answer too.
I'm just wondering, is it just a one-sided thing?
No, we're definitely gonna be open on both sides. All right, cool. I like this one. This one says, share a funny or unusual superstition you follow for good luck.
Okay. Something I do for good luck. Don't laugh. I have a weird thing about whether something's an odd or an even number.
Okay. So when something's odd or even, you try to put it even?
Yeah. Or it can be fives, at the end, it could be a 5, 5, 10, whatever. But I have a weird thing about that. I have since I was a kid, which probably speaks to a little bit of OCD, but
yeah, no, it's funny because my mom, she's really big on having things organized. So she also has that superstition of having things even or just organized just so that it just makes her feel better that way.
Yeah, I mean, in Chinese culture, if things are certain numbers, like they'd consider it unlucky.
Huh. Yeah, that makes sense. It kind of goes into a little bit of the spiritual numbers, or the angel numbers is what they call
Hmm.
it, which I do have um some thought onto the how the angel numbers work, so I do believe them in a little bit. But there was one superstition that I used to follow, and I kind of still do, but I try to not put too much superstitions to things, because then I kind of like bring it into existence. So let's say, for example, like when your hand itches, you scratch it and then you put it in your pocket for good luck. And I used to think, adding on to it, if my foot was itching, like underneath my foot, I would think that something bad is gonna happen. I don't know why.
Oh, well, I mean, there's always something that like makes us feel that way. Like it's something that happened that like makes us feel like, oh my God, there's this. Or I had this shirt that no matter what, every time I wore it, something like really bad happened. I eventually just got rid of it. Like it just happened. Like every time I wore it, like all this bad stuff I'm like, that's it. I'm like, I think this shirt's just unlucky. It's gotta go.
You was like, I was trying to give it a chance, but every single time I wear it, something happens. But no matter what it is, it's just something that I don't want.
Yeah, and like it wasn't even something I had control over. It was like stuff that was just out of my control, and just I'm like, that's it. The shirt's going.
Yeah, what color was the shirt?
It was like a navy blue t-shirt kind of thing that I had, and it had like this design on it. And it's so funny. Like some stuff happened to me, and something happened to the. I'm like, that's it. I gave it 3 tries. It's going.
Three strikes you're out. You just gotta go.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. It's crazy how that works. I wonder what other superstitions, and anybody that's listening, like, what is your superstition? Because I think it's interesting to hear everybody's, because everyone has their own unique kind. So that is pretty interesting. I love it. Enough said. Yeah, so I want to definitely talk about how you are a personal chef, and I want to start by: is there a moment in your life that led you to being a chef? Was it influence from family or anything like that?
Well, it's more than just family. I'm an Italian girl, so like food in so many different cultures is so important to your family, and it's so individualized, like how you were brought up. And I always tell people it's so funny is every time we had people over the house or anything growing up, whether I was in the kitchen or one of my family members, everyone's in the kitchen. We do not have a big kitchen, but we could have like 40 people here and they're all still in my kitchen because that's where the food is.
Hmm.
No matter what, like they couldn't spread out, they couldn't go outside. Nope, got to be where the food is. And growing up, we were always in the kitchen. Like when we were little, we had to help my great grandmother with stuff. And I always tell people it's mostly because I'm pretty sure she didn't want us tearing apart her house when we were little kids, me and my cousins.
Yeah.
But like we always had to help with stuff like trimming the ends off beans or rolling meatballs or whatever. Like we were always brought into that. And my aunts and uncles and my grandparents all gardened. So my
Mm,
family as Italians, like food was every celebration, every Sunday. My great grandmothers could empty the refrigerator quicker than anybody I've ever seen anytime you came over. You could tell them you weren't hungry, but that was never a no. They'll still
mm.
feed you, or they'll stick fruit in your pockets on the way out the door.
That's hilarious.
So food has always been a part of my life. And then I got sick in my late teens and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And there were so many things. And I got so sick that a lot of the times between the medical testing and the meds they put me on to manage things, I really had trouble eating. And I really wanted to figure out how food could help us and how it can help our symptoms and what's wrong with us and how food supports our body. Because food isn't just something that makes us happy, it's something that can help us as well. So I wanted to make both of those together and I want to show other people how to do that.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting, because it just seems as if, growing up you was with family and it was always about food and how it showed it bring people together. And then this moment in your life where, you get sick and the way that you eat has dramatically changed. You're like, well, I need to do something because I love eating, and I understood of what it brung for me, the happiness and the just the community that I bring within my family. Um, it just seems as if like that's what made you want to get into more of like, okay, how can I eat healthier, and how can I make food that's a lot more sustainable?
And it's not even that we were like unhealthy or anything like that. And we grew up with fresh stuff and we always made something healthy. But it's more of what foods can you eat more of or less of, or how does my body feel when I do that? Because that's the thing. A lot of people don't realize how they feel after they eat,
Mm,
or what foods they're eating make them feel sick. And they don't understand why they're always feeling sick or this or that. And they need to know what makes their body function, because what makes you feel a certain way is not going to make me feel a certain way.
mm, right. So how would you say, I think a lot of times people are trying to eat healthier. People are trying
Mm-hmm.
to, be a lot more energized with what they eat. A lot of people go to fast food, and we already know that fast food is not something that we should get into, processed food, and we just want to have more of the opportunity to make more healthier foods and stuff like that. What would you say someone can do to start that process of eating healthier? What would be that first step if you had it to give them?
So think of it as like when you have a goal for work or a fitness goal, you have a big goal, but there's also a lot of little steps to get there, right? So take the first step, a little step in starting to swap out ingredients, or take it as, okay, I'm only going to focus on my breakfast this week. How do I improve my breakfast?
Mm,
And once you get that down for a few weeks, then you move on to say your snacks or the lunch that you bring to work with you, or how do I feel in my post workout regimen? Like, is it that way, or do I need to have more protein? Do I need to have this? Do I need to have something? Is a smoothie just good enough, or do I need to have, a bigger snack? People need to see how their body responds to things. And people think of it as, oh my God, I have to overhaul my entire life. We are an all or nothing kind of culture, unfortunately. As
mm.
Americans, we seem to think everything has to be all at once and we want the quick fix for everything. And in reality, to be healthier, there is no quick fix.
Mm. Yeah, no, that's true. I think there's so much instant gratification that we want, especially when it comes to what we eat. We think that, oh, we just eat 3 times a day, then that's just enough. But I think over time, you realize when you are exercising and you're doing so much more things with your body, that your body tends to ask for certain things and then also don't want other things that you were used to eating. Like for me, after I started being a lot more active, like I do taekwondo and I go to the gym every so often, to every week to the gym. I realized that there's just certain foods that don't sit well with me, and a lot of the times I just have to cook at home, even if it's just eggs and rice, because if I eat anything that's processed, it does a significance. And we can all say that when you eat fast food, it doesn't even fill you up anymore, right? And it's
No.
just like, what is this? And then you feel not so good, and you just wonder why, and that's because what you ate.
Yeah. And I mean, I think about it as the way that I talk to kids. When I talk to kids about nutrition and healthier choices, I don't want anybody to ever feel like there's no, you can never have this. This is bad for you, or you're doing something wrong. I talk to them about picking healthier options for things, and that things are sometimes more of a eat in moderation kind of thing. Like, what happens if we eat candy every single day? What would happen to you? How do you feel if you eat too much sugar? Or would it send you to the dentist or give you a tummy ache? Like, that's how I talk to kids, to make them understand that, yes, chocolate's okay for you and you can have it, as long as we're not eating it for like every meal, for every snack, every single time.
Right. And you said the big word, the S word. You said sugar. And
Yeah.
I want to talk about sugar, because I think one of the thing is, when it comes to sugar, we think that's what gives us energy. And a lot of people eat sugar so much. So what would you say that people can do to, not take so much sugar? Because I think that's also one of the reasons why a lot of people, get diabetes, and then also, get cancer and all these other things. How do you manage your sugar?
So personally, I don't have sugar, like any refined sugar or processed sugar. That's a choice I've made for myself and my body, and with my health, I can't have it. So what I do typically is I have something like maple syrup or honey if I need something sweet or if I'm baking or if I need to make something like cookies or something and that isn't working. Sometimes I'll use coconut sugar for things, which coconut sugar is a sustainable sweetener and that's better for you. So all these things are lower on the glycemic index, which will be better for you. I mean, if you have diabetes, you always have to watch anything sweet. And that's something that's always going to be things for you. And you're going to have to watch your carbs because carbs spike sugar as well. So
Yeah.
these are just options for you. And those are things that people need to choose how much. But anything processed, sugar, foods, anything is going to cause havoc in your body.
Yeah, you mentioned glycemic. What is glycemic, especially for those that don't know what that is?
So it's what spikes your blood sugar. It's the index of how much sugar is in our body and our insulin and all that good stuff. You know, like have you ever gone to the doctors and gotten blood work and you see all that stuff in our blood work that says, okay, well, your sugar was this or that, or they ask you to fast. They just want to make sure your body is functioning properly. Well, diabetics, they have problems with this and their body does not function properly. So their sugar spikes, bad things happen to them. We do
Right.
not want that.
Right. Yeah. I think, even for me, eating is something that it definitely improve over time. And I think one of the things happens too when people are really busy and they have busy lives, they think about, well, I want to eat healthy, but I don't really have so much time to make something that is healthy for me. So if you were to tell someone, maybe a solution or advice in order to get healthy habits, that have a busy lifestyle, what would you tell them?
Well, first, I tell people there are a lot of good, healthier convenience things at the grocery store now.
Mm.
I mean, you can go to the frozen foods aisle and it's really easy to buy, like, you can just buy a bag of cauliflower rice that's frozen for you. Like, you don't have to make it. You don't have to sit there and grate the cauliflower. You don't have to do that. And anything that's frozen is typically done at peak season and flash frozen. So you're still getting all the nutrients and things. And it's also a little bit better on your budget these days. So if you live alone or you're watching your budget, it's a good option for families. If you're looking for easy ways to do it, figure out what you can buy as a convenience that's already done for you in a healthy way in the store, like anything that's pre-chopped veggies, anything. I don't typically do that or like that because it's not budget friendly. But if that's what you need to get through the day and to make healthy choices, then do it.
Mm.
You just need to find little ways to either prep some things, like things like overnight oats. They're so easy. You're literally pouring stuff in a jar, stirring, and sticking it in your fridge.
Right.
So take 10 minutes here and there throughout the week, or take an entire hour on a Sunday and prep stuff for yourself. And your freezer can be a wonderful place because you could make like a big batch of chili or a big batch of sauce or something, stick it in your freezer, and then you have it throughout the whole month.
Yeah, I love that you say that because prepping for me has been something that has helped me so much. Like just being able to cook Sunday, and if I can have the first 3 days where I have food prep, then I'll be good to go. And then I don't have to worry until maybe Wednesday to probably cook something again. And I'm already halfway through the week. And that helps so much time. And it also helps me not worrying about what I'm going to eat and then resort to something that isn't healthy.
Right. And see, you did all of it ahead. And I mean, think about it. If you can't give up like 3 hours of your time and you want to prep for a whole month and you just need to prep, say, a half an hour here or half an hour on Sunday and a half an hour on Monday, if that's what you need. And then later in the week, or pre-chop your veggies and stick them in a container in your fridge. So that way, all you have to do is like throw them together when you come home with, like, say, some already cooked chicken and you're starting to have a meal, and stick some rice in the microwave or whatever you want to do.
Right. Is there any ingredients that you probably would say to look out for? So if it has this, then you shouldn't get it because it's not healthy for you. Because I think when people go to the store, they're just like, oh, if it's veggie or if it say it's healthy or anything like that, they just resort to that. But sometimes we have to like look in the back of the ingredients to see what's there. Is there anything there that you'd be like, oh, if it has this, don't get it?
Okay, so let's talk about reading labels in the grocery store.
Yeah.
If you read the back of the label and you cannot pronounce it and it looks like it should be on a cleaning product, it should not be going in your body.
Mm.
because there are plenty of labels. If the label is like this big on the back of the package, you should not be eating it. That means that there's too many ingredients, preservatives, and other things. You want to look for ingredients that you can fully read. You know exactly what they are. There's no chemicals, preservative, anything like that. And as far as not having stuff, I always prefer that everything is as natural as possible.
Right. If it says like organic, right? Those are the best options to get.
Yes, and the word natural, though, however, like when you say like natural flavors are natural, it's not regulated by the FDA. So it's one of those advertising things and marketing that's on things. It just because it says natural, that's not regulated. So it could be almost anything.
That's good to know because there's a lot of things that says all natural or natural flavors and stuff. And yeah, that's
Yeah.
in a lot of juices or fruits, not fruits, but like the fruit, like fruit snacks, or chips, which is crazy. Yeah, no, that's good to look out for. So basically, look at the organic, not the natural.
You want to look for the little certification labels that are usually across the bottom.
Mm.
You'll see ones that say like gluten-free, and you'll see that has a little certification at the bottom, and you'll see the organic certification from like USDA organic at the bottom, or one of the other organic agencies. You know, if you ever pick up like say some crackers or something, or some chips that you got, and you can see on the bottom all the certifications across the bottom. It'll either be on the back or the front of a box, and you'll know that they've been regulated and they've been submitted, and it means they're subjected to, like, they do testing to make sure however many batches.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's good to know because I think when it comes to shopping and just trying to eat healthier, we need to know exactly what we're putting into our body
Yeah.
because what we eat is what we are. So it's like if I'm eating food that is not so good, then I'm also going to be not so good of a person. You know what I mean? Because what we eat chemically changes us because there's
Mhm.
chemicals in it, it breaks down, and then it just changes the way that we think, the way that we feel, the way that we sleep. Would you say that ever since you started into eating healthier and being more mindful of what you put into your body, that is it's impact the way that you think and for your mental health?
I do it for my physical well-being, not just that, but mentally it does help, because if I am at my best and I'm taking care of my body, from what I put on my skin to what I put inside me. If you're not healthy from the inside out, you can look great on the outside, physically fit, great, but you could be eating like crap. You could drop dead tomorrow from something that nobody can see, because you're treating your insides worse than you're treating your outsides.
Yeah, no, that's so true. I think, even for me, I think what happened is when I used to eat a lot more processed food like McDonald's and all that other stuff, I haven't had fast food in like a couple years, especially McDonald's, because I just don't why would I do that? If I could go home and if it's I'd rather have literally, like I mentioned earlier, rice and eggs, which is a lot more healthier for me and it'll fill me more than anything else would, like fast food. So I think that people need to be more mindful on what they eat because it also breaks down, like they get breakouts on their face. Like a lot of times if you have if you have pimples on your face and they're growing and stuff like that, that can also be a reason of what you eat or how you take care of yourself.
It could
And
hormones too.
yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah, they mess up your hormones. And I wanted to know what what can you do for people that are listening that are trying to get more energy for their day. I think when it comes to eating, there's one thing of eating healthy and then it's getting full. But what happens also too is the energy portion of that. I think with this fast paced world, we are trying to figure out how to get more energy and all these other things. Is there anything that you've done personally that's giving you more energy or that you're mindful of, if it's an ingredient or a vitamin?
Two things: water. Believe it or not, if you're dehydrated, it's going to make you tired. It's
Mm,
going to make you unable to think, and it's going to affect your mental health. So those are things you want to think about, especially since we've had an exceptionally hot summer.
yes.
Those are also things. Just have a water bottle in your desk at work, or carry it with you depending on what kind of job you have. Protein, and do not skip breakfast. Protein and fiber are what keeps you full and keeps your body working properly. So if you just eat carbs or things, as wonderful as pancakes and French toast are, without the protein or anything with it or extra fiber, it's just not going to hold you. Like when I was a kid and we'd have pancakes on the weekends, I'd always wonder why I was hungry like barely a few hours later.
Right.
Because you didn't have the protein with it. And you don't know these things because this is, you go to a diner and that's what they have, or you get, your parents do that. So protein, water, and never skip breakfast because that's your kickstarting your metabolism for the day.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of people that skip breakfast, and I try to do my very best to never skip breakfast. It doesn't matter if it's a bowl of cereal or something to get me started, because it does impact the way that you're gonna start the rest of your day. And it's a real thing. We've all heard it before. It's called being hangry. Hangry is a real thing. I get hangry often. Like if I'm hungry, I don't talk because I know for a fact that I'm going to get upset, or maybe I'm just gonna come off a little bit more aggressive just because I'm hungry. So definitely don't skip your breakfast. And I want to know, because there might be people that are listening that wants to understand a little bit more on the protein and the fiber part. Can you explain why protein is important, and then how fiber also helps that?
Well, fiber, one thing is it does keep us full, and it takes a while to digest. So therefore it is keeping us full. And it also keeps other functions, not to be gross, but it keeps other functions in our body working that we need to have, because if those aren't working, then we really don't feel good. And there's all kinds of stuff that can back up in our system. And then that causes all kinds of other problems.
Right.
And then as far as protein, it's like the building blocks of our muscles and nerves and all the wonderful things that are inside us, not to mention vitamins and minerals, all those things that we need. So they're both basically feeding our system and helping us get going. And when you drink water to help all that, it circulates it through your system, through your blood, through everything else that you need. And then it just kickstarts your whole body for the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think also too, when it comes to the protein aspect, and mind you, I'm trying to really get good at my fiber, because like it just helps my metabolism, and it just makes me be able to,
Mm-hmm.
bowel movements is something that we need to be mindful of as well. And I think when it comes to the protein aspect, I think we think we're gonna get more stronger or just be more jacked or however it is, if we're just always eating protein. Would you say that, when you're eating protein, is there something that you have to do in order for it to actually work?
I find that what they typically tell you, what there is and what you should do are two different things. If
Mm,
you looked at one of those charts like you see in the doctor's office of however you put your plate together, they're all over the walls. What I tell people is it depends on you, but mixing carbs, protein, and veggies is what you always have to do.
mm,
But if for some reason carbs or something that upset you, or you need to be grain free or whatever, those are things you need to take into consideration. But there's always like, think about the traditional meals that are healthy for you and think about the combinations and think about your favorite meal that works the best for you. How do you feel after it? So for me, you always want like a third of your plate to be like your protein, and then another third to be veggies, and then that other third to be whatever makes you feel good, whether it be a carb or a simple fat, whatever
mm.
makes you happy and
Yeah.
makes your body function better.
Right. It almost seems as if it's a trial and error, because I think there's a controversy on what you should eat and what you shouldn't eat. And it seems as if, there's not a one shoe fits all kind of thing. It depends on how your body, digests it. And as well as, there's people that is allergic to certain things. So we can't say that, oh, you have to eat this. And if you don't, then you're not going to be as healthy as possible. So it just sounds like everybody that's listening, if you're trying to eat healthier, you just need to see what it is that you like and put it together and see how your body responds to that. Like, does your stomach hurt? Do you feel more energized? Do you feel more groggy? And you kind of just trial and error with that, and you adjust from as you go. That sounds pretty much right?
Yeah, I mean it's more about understanding how your body in particular functions, because
Hmm.
the amount of protein you may need compared to the amount of protein I may need, because one, I'm a woman, and you're also a younger athletic male, and I'm a woman that is moderately athletic for the amount I work out and everything. So, you have to take those things into consideration, because if you try to eat like protein, like the amount of a bodybuilder, like it's not going to work for you, and it's going to backfire on your metabolism. So you have to take into consideration your age, how much it makes you feel. Are you getting the proper nutrients for your level of activity? And the reason that I always say it's what makes you feel good is because there are people, like you said, that have allergies. And if we ever went by the food pyramid, there is no, I've really tried, but you cannot make a single person have that much in one day. Like, there's no way. And this is why they consider ketchup a vegetable.
They consider, ketchup a vegetable? It's from a tomato, right?
Yeah, the government, it's actually a fruit, but they consider it a vegetable. It's how it's listed, how the government does it in school lunches to make sure that they're getting kids enough stuff, which is kind of backwards.
Yeah.
That's because nobody can manage to get that much stuff in unless you're being truly conscious of what you're eating and how you feel.
Right. Yeah, no, I did learn not too long ago that, if it has seeds in it, it's a fruit. That's
Most
what it is.
likely, yes.
Yeah, and if it doesn't have any seeds, then it's more likely a vegetable.
Yeah.
Because it's almost, it kind of resembles to how we are, right? Like, when the people say, oh, if he's a vegetable or she's a vegetable, hypothetically speaking, when it's in the hospital, it means that they're just dead and they're just laying on the bed, right? So that's almost like the metaphor that they use. And as well as we are fruitful because we're able to produce and have a kid and all these other things, we're considered a fruit. You know what I mean? Because we're able to give a seed. That's like
That's one way to look at it.
yeah, that's a deeper understanding, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
But it's like when it comes to vegetables and it comes to fruits and all that, that is a resemblance of us, and we need to know that all these fruits and stuff that we have to eat it because it's what's on this earth, and we're from this earth. Like, we are a product of our environment, and I think people always shy away from certain things, especially like if it's vegetarian thing. Like, I've had veggie burgers and they be pretty good. Or like eggplant. Like, eggplant tastes great as well. And I think it's like what happens, people try to knock it before they even try it. And it just, people don't want to put in the work consciously to eat healthy. And that's the biggest part. And I think people think it's a lot of work, especially like if I'm trying to eat healthy, I want to know how I'm eating healthy. I want to take track of it. Is there anything that you do to keep track of what you eat so I know how I'm eating a day? Because if I'm trying to eat healthier, or I'm trying to, let's say, gain weight or lose weight, we have to like track it in some way. Is there something that you do or suggest?
So personally, like when I was having trouble with things and having trouble eating and things, so my doctor had me keep a food journal about how stuff was making me feel and things like that. And honestly, when I start working with clients for a 3-month program, I make them start writing stuff down, because until you actually write it down, nobody actually thinks about it.
True.
You don't start thinking about these things until you have to start writing it down. It's kind of like if you had to journal something, you don't really think about your thoughts or your feelings until you put it down on paper. It may not make sense in your head until it comes out of you and you're writing everything down.
Yeah.
But my simplest thing I can tell people is the old saying, eat the rainbow, is true. The more colorful your plate, the better nutrition you're getting. Just make sure you have a few colors on your plate. That's all there is. Make sure there is at least some green.
Right. Yeah. I want to know what would be some dishes, if it's breakfast, lunch to dinner. How would a whole day look like for you? And share some recipes or dishes that you like to make for yourself.
Personally, I am not a big fan of the what I eat in a day kind of things that are on social media, because like then people are comparing themselves to somebody else in whatever their life is, or they want to look like them on social media, young kids. And I don't feel like that's fair, because like I said, we're each an individual, and people don't really take into account, yeah, that's fun and that's cool to see. We don't take into account how each of our bodies function. And that is something that we want to start teaching kids.
Right.
But for me, what I eat in a day, I cannot start my day without coffee. I do not function without a little bit of caffeine every morning. I will totally cop to that. So a little bit of coffee with almond milk in the morning for me.
Mm.
And then something really simple like fruit. And then I usually eat a little bit later in the morning because I take medication in the morning. So I can't quite start my day that way. Then for lunch, I eat anything from some salad, or this time of year, it's whatever I find at the farmer's market mostly. So I usually make some sort of salad, or I have a grain-free like pizza that I make with whatever vegetables I found at the farmer's market. For dinner, I'm pretty simple. I eat a lot later at night, so some sort of stir fry. And I'm a vegan that occasionally eats fish.
Yeah.
So I'm mostly vegetables and fruit and things like that. So I get my sources of protein from those things. I stopped eating meat a long, long time ago.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that goes with the fact that this is something that just works for you. It doesn't mean that it can apply to everybody, but it's just to say that hey, this is how I eat and this is something that I was mindful of and what works for my body essentially.
Yeah, it's just I started to feel better not doing that. I stopped eating red meat when I was like 11 years old. I just didn't like the taste of it and I never felt good after I ate it. And as I got older, I just started eating less and less of it, and poultry didn't set well with me and I felt sick. So I stopped eating it, and believe it or not, I felt better as a vegan.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think a lot of times people hear a vegan and it almost has a bad name to it. And because people are like, oh, that's bad. But I think it's just the fact that this is just something that sits well with my body and what I eat. And that's just something that has to be what it is. Because I think when it comes to eating, people can be very judgmental of what they eat in a day and how they eat, and there's always a reason of what you eat in a day.
And I'm not like super like over the top strict. Like if I was a strict vegan, I wouldn't eat honey because
Right.
vegans
Or
don't
fish.
honey. And like I went out to dinner the other night, I had a piece of salmon because there wasn't a lot on the menu I could have, so I had a salad with salmon and that was fine. And I like that occasionally when I go out. Most of the time when I go out, I'll get fish or something if I can, if there isn't a lot of vegetarian options, and that's totally fine. And it's something that it's not like it happens every single day. It happens maybe once every few months. But I'm also not going to be mad if somebody made me muffins or something and it's all gluten free and low in sugar and they might have put an egg in it instead. It's not going to kill me.
Right.
I have to make do with what I can when I'm out sometimes.
Yeah, you gotta adapt and see what can work for you, because sometimes you just gotta work with what you got.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask too. I think one of the things I've been hearing a lot when it comes to eating is someone's gut health,
Yeah.
and I think that even is something that I can struggle with. Where I have a lot of acid reflux, or I just have a lot of discomfort. Is there maybe something that you are aware of yourself about what gives acid reflux, and or how can we get better at our gut health?
Oh, our gut health is definitely our microbiome. So, one, it can affect our mood, our mental health as well, because there has been many, many studies about the gut brain connection.
Mm.
So, that is one of the biggest things in our body. And if our gut's out of whack, then our mental health is out of whack, then like how we think and our brain fog. So, as far as keeping that, eating a variety of fruits and vegetables, um, as far as like you said, you have acid reflux. Do you find there's certain stuff you eat that causes that?
I think for me, it would definitely be sometimes me eating later. can
Yeah.
sometimes do that. And I try my best to not eat so late. If anything, if I do, it'll be lighter. But I think it goes back to what you're saying. I'll eat something and I don't put too much mind to it until maybe my stomach is hurting. And then I have to re go back and trace myself. Wait, what did I eat? Because I don't even know what it is right now. So I need to do better at maybe even writing it down because I'm not even 100% myself.
So I can fix a little problem for you right now. I'm guessing if you eat late, you go to bed shortly after.
I try to at least stay up for another hour before I go to bed.
2. You need to be up at least 2 hours before you
Mm.
lay down, and don't lay flat when you go to bed. You need to stay mostly sitting up. Because
Huh.
the acid from your stomach, because it's digesting, is coming back up when you lay down when you're flat, and that's what's happening.
Interesting. I did not know the sitting
It's
up part.
not the only reason, but I can fix if you're eating late at night. I can tell you right now that's probably why.
Right, right. And yeah, I also try to just not eat anything big. Like let's say for example, I would not eat anything like pasta related late at night if it's 10 o'clock and I'm about to go to bed at 11 or anything like that because that just gives more acid reflux.
Mm-hmm.
Like anything that's our spices, I'm mindful of that I know could give acid reflux. Like let's say eating something spicy, which I really don't eat a lot of spicy food. And spicy food doesn't give me acid reflux. I think another thing could be where I don't eat enough. I get acid reflux.
Okay.
And that's something that I'm just trying to get better at. Because, you know, I don't like eating the same thing every day. So I try to, the more of the things I do eat is like I eat a lot of chicken. I eat beef here and there, not as much as chicken. And I love eating fruits. So I eat fruits a lot. And I'm trying to get better at I eat vegetables, but not a lot. Like I eat my broccoli and my cucumbers, and I have celery. So I eat vegetables, but trying to integrate it into a dish or anything that I eat can be something that I'm not aware of yet because I don't know what mixes well together and stuff like that.
So, one, I recommend you start eating sweet potatoes because that's a complex carb. Not to mention, it's one of the most nutrient rich things in the produce section, and they're really abundant this time of year. Um, 2, acidy things, anything with tomatoes, anything black pepper can give you heartburn. Red pepper, not so much because the capsaicin's good for you.
Red
But
pepper.
red, but black pepper will give you heartburn like no other.
Interesting. And I do have a lot of black pepper because especially in the morning, I always put salt and black pepper on my eggs, or even if I'm seasoning meat, I'll put a little bit of black pepper and salt, like as the most traditional thing you use for seasoning. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll change my black pepper to red pepper and see what that does for me.
It might actually fix it because there's a lot of people with acid reflux and they think they don't need any pepper at all. I mean, if you have like serious like GERD or something like that, you can't have it. But it's definitely something to consider.
Hmm.
I'm not a doctor. I will say this. I am not a medical professional. It's just more of experience and some anecdotal things that I know. But I can tell you definitely to anyone, don't lay down after you eat. You're waiting for a stomach ache or acid reflux unless you have like an iron constitution.
Right. Yeah, no, I appreciate you for all the advice and just letting everybody that is listening know about how we should be eating because it's one of those conversations that we get into and we think that we have to eat a specific way. And that's what healthy is. But healthy is what works for you and what makes you feel good. Not
Mhm.
saying that even if you eat McDonald's and all that stuff and you feel good after, that's gonna catch up after a while.
That's a different conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and it goes even back to what you're saying. It's not saying you can't have fast food here and there, but if you do it so often, it's gonna make you feel all groggy. It's gonna probably even affect your mental health because that's what food does to you. And your stomach is your second brain, and
Mhm.
that's why like you had to make sure your gut health is good and all those other things. So everybody that is listening, I hope you're getting something from this. And if you did get something from this, or even if you have a question, please leave it down in the description below if it's on YouTube, if it's on your favorite podcast platform, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or even if you just want to, shoot it out on Instagram. And yeah, no, I really appreciate everything because this like getting healthier with what I eat is something that I'm trying to keep being consistent with on, and it's a lifestyle. It's more than just doing it. You got to be consistent until like the day you got to go.
And yogurt and apple cider vinegar will help you start improving your microbiome in your stomach.
Okay.
So
Apple cider, yes. I'm
start with that.
I'm putting it down. Hold on, I'm putting it down right here. Apple cider and Greek yogurt, right? Because I like Greek yogurt.
Greek yogurt's good. Anything, any kind of yogurt is good. Just make sure you buy. I always tell people to buy the bigger ones and to buy the plain ones because you can use it for savory stuff and sweet stuff. Because like you can sweeten it or you can do it because anything that's sweetened is usually sugar. Those
Right.
flavored ones are full of sugar.
Right, that is true. And we want to stay away from sugar as much as possible. If it's natural, like honey or maple syrup,
Mhm.
then that's more natural or organic. I don't know the
Well,
natural.
actually, technically, I guess it would be if it came from a tree, right? An organic tree.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Oh my God, yes. I'm so glad that you was able to come on and just enlighten us with all the like tips and tricks just to eat healthier and like let us know that it's not just about it's not eating something specific. It's more specific for you. And I just want everybody to, take this moment and look at what you eat, how you feel. Make sure you grab a journal if it's on the go. I'm gonna start doing that because I'm really trying. Even if you put it on your notes on your
Yeah,
phone,
you
something.
can.
Yeah. So if you whatever it is, guys, start writing notes. How you feel, how's making you feel, and yeah. I hope you guys are really getting this into something that is introspective and start eating healthier. And before we go, I wanted to ask you, Ashely, is there anything that you want to let the audience know before we go?
Oh boy, anything. Just make sure that whatever you do makes you happy and that your health goals are just for you. Like, it doesn't
Yes.
mean that you have to look like a supermodel. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that your health goals are you functioning better as a human being, mentally and physically, whatever that means to you, not what somebody else tells you.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Yeah, guys, I appreciate you guys and all your support. Until next time, y'all be easy. Peace.